Hi everybody, welcome back to Spruverse, my scale model universe, and I guess we're going to call this part 3, not to confuse anybody, but there's going to be a lot of stuff going on in this particular update because I thought that it would be criminal if I didn't sort of do a little bit of the behind the scenes, you know, of getting all the different parts finished and painted and figured out. So I thought it would be really cool to start today with the Banquette. Let me show you the Banquette. Here it is in all of its glory. Now, this was just a white chunk of resin. You can see underneath it was just a white chunk of resin. And there it is. And what I have done so far is try to accurize it. Now, what does that mean? Well, what it means is that I have been hacking at it. So this end here, this end, you can see there. This end is the end that originally had this piece in it that went around like that, and this end piece was actually glued here. So what I've done is I've actually, with a bandsaw, I've cut this, obviously I cut this away. I cut this edge away, so that left me with this edge. Now, I'm not overly concerned about that because you're never going to see the bottom of this Banquette. It's going to be under the table. But what I am going to do, because there's wood paneling on this, is I'm going to try and sort of play with that a little bit. Now what I've done is I have used Mr. Surfacer 2000, is it Mr. Surfacer 1000? 1500 Mr. Surfacer Red Oxide. Out of a can, just a can, just to sort of give it a little bit of a prime. And also because this red oxide, I think, will start helping me play with some of the colors in this actual bench. Now, we've got a ton of reference pictures. When I got the kit from Bill, he had very kindly sent me hundreds of reference pictures, and we've been taking even more frame grabs ourselves and watching the film ourselves. And obviously, as we know, on film sets, lights and gels will play havoc with your eye and change the color of things, and then even in post-production they'll start to change the color of things. So what might be perceived to be a sort of red leather could particularly be something else. Now, to my eye, as I look at the actual Banquette, which you're not able to see on the monitor here, but I'm going to pull it off for you and bring this over so that you can see what I'm looking at. So I've got my laptop here. And what you can see is it's pretty dark, I think, so I apologize. But I'm looking at this reference picture, and I know that was a complete waste, complete waste of time. But trust me, things will improve around here as well. I'm figuring out how to actually throw reference photos up onto my live to tape shows. But anyway. So as I'm looking at it on my monitor, you know, it's a sort of it's probably not real leather. It's probably the you know, the vinyl sort of naugahyde that they used to use. You know, it was a sort of leatherette kind of look. It was the kind of thing you got in steakhouses and that sort of a thing in the 50s and 60s. It wasn't real leather. It was this sort of stuff that when you brushed across it would squeak. But anyway, so what I'm going to do now, which I thought would be an awful lot of fun, is to start playing with some color. Now, what I've got here is Model Air. It's the 71.269 red. Now, you absolutely can use their regular Vallejo paints and just thin them down, or just not thin them down if you're going to brush them. But everything in my paint collection that's Vallejo, for the most part, is the Model Air, because I like to drop them in the gun and hit them. But there's no reason to use an airbrush right now on this model. There's just none. The brush strokes are your friend, because they'll really start to get into everything and give you that texture and that tone that you're not going to get with an airbrush. Now, you could certainly lay down some color with the airbrush and then start to play with it, but I think, and I'm going to show you again close up here, but you can see that in the mold itself, I've got all this lovely depressions where the pins have been driven into the banquette itself, and they've pulled tight, and it created that wonderful illusion. Now, sadly, 98.9% of this is never going to be seen. So it's the classic, you know it's there, and I want to do a great job, because the windows are quite large on this boat, and I'm using a 5mm bulb in the lamp. Here's the lamp, and I'll show you that close up as well. Here it is. What I've done is I've hit it with a little of the aluminum spray from Tamiya, and the top of it is, believe it or not, it's chipping paint that you can get for actually touching up porcelain refrigerator doors. I kid you not. In fact, here, let me, it's a messy tube, but let me show it to you so you can see what it is. Here it is. It's called Porcelain Chip Fix. Now, it's got, apparently, it's got CA glue in it. It's sort of a white paint with CA glue in it, and it sort of creates this porcelain effect. And so I have put it on, I've put it on this particular, this lamp here. And now the reason why I've put it on the lamp is because in all of the production stills, that appears to be a porcelain cover. It's the kind of cover that you would get to sort of protect the element from overheating, the bulb from overheating, and that's, I'm pretty sure, what it is. Now I've got to go around and clean all this up and just touch it up and stain it and do all the things I'm going to do. So this is just a very raw base coat. But again, I thought in this episode we do sort of a lot of the behind the scenes of what I'm doing to get things, ready for actually, finally putting on the model. Usually, what I do is I do all of this, and then I come on the show, and I show you all the bits that I've finished. Okay. But I'm trying very hard to try and bring you in with me and have you come along on this journey, because it's just so much fun, as I keep saying like a broken record, to build this and paint this, because of all the different elements that we're going to need to age it and make it look kind of cool, that I thought it was kind of fun to show you, some of my process. Okay, so what I've got here is my Vallejo red, and I'm going to put a little bit of it in my dish here. Now it's water-based, so I can actually bring my water jug a little closer, and always work on a towel. Now, you want to talk about lessons learned. So the great Lou Del Mesa over at Aztec Dummy, if you don't know Lou, go check out his channel. He is a mentor for me, and he has been so generous and kind with his time, and always willing to jump on a Zoom call with me and talks through things, and I really appreciate that. And so I learned from him, you put a towel down, because if you knock something over, you're not knocking it over on your cutting mat. You're going to hopefully contain the mess. So I always paint on a towel. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and apply some of this red. Now, what I'm doing is I'm applying it, but you know, no harm, no foul here. If it doesn't work, if it doesn't look right, the great thing about it is, let me get my fat head out of the way. God, I apologize. If it doesn't look right, it's okay, because you just paint over it. You just change it. But what I'm really hoping to do here is see what happens when this red reacts with the zinc oxide. That's what I'm looking for, is a reaction. Now I'm assuming what it's going to do is it's actually going to absorb some of that darker color, and it won't be so red. I'm not worried about getting it on the bottom there, because we'll touch all that up, and we'll be good to go. But it's really fun to kind of play along here and get some of this paint down and start to see what it looks like. Now obviously the wonderful thing about these acrylics is they dry pretty quickly. And so we're going to start to see really quickly what we've got, and whether or not what we've got is actually looking pretty good. Now I have to say, just from my eye, I'm really happy with this. I like what it's doing. So that could be it could be a winner. So I'm going to just keep on going here. I've got several colors of red. I can also dull this down with some matte varnish, so I'm not worried about that, but I'm not using anything that's super glossy. And you know, it's aged, it's old, it's tired, it's been ripped probably in places that we haven't seen. You know, Quint, bless his heart, was not a he wasn't a, I'm assuming, you know, he wasn't a Virgo, right? He wasn't super meticulous about his boat or his living quarters. You know, Quint was just, he was a veteran of World War II. He was on the Indianapolis, and he was you know, he was a salty kind of guy, and he makes his living, I think, fishing. I think, and he sells, you know, he sells those. He catches sharks, and he boils the jaws, and I guess he sells them to the local markets. I'm sure he does fishing charters as well in the summer. Although, can you imagine actually hiring him to actually be your charter? You know, pretty hilarious. Although I guess technically in the film that's what it was, right? It was a charter. Okay, so that is starting to look pretty good. It's drying already, if you can believe it, and I'm actually really happy with that. I think that's going to work a charm. So I'm going to continue to work on this a little more. Now, when I've got this on to where I'm relatively happy with it, and I have to say I'm relatively happy with it now. Then it's a function of hitting it with some varnish, and then we can start using all kinds of washes that will go into these cracks and start to age this, and then we can finish up by hitting the buttons themselves with a little black before we put some red on them, a little dot of black and then a little dot of red, and that should just punch out these banquette chairs pretty good. And then I can start to work on the base of this and start to really finish this up. But that's looking pretty good. So I'm gonna carry on with this here. Again, we're doing snippets of everything, so we don't get bored and we don't get bogged down in something. But I'm going to continue on with this. I may even try to put a little bit of pale brown on it. Here, I'll show you my pale brown that I've pulled. I pulled a bunch of paints. This is called camouflage pale brown. It was part of a collection of paints that I pulled. Vallejo does this really good thing with their paints. If you buy Vallejo paints, you'll know what I'm talking about. They come in boxes, so if you're doing weathering or if you're doing World War II subject matter or whatever you're doing, they group those colors together and sell them in packs. The great thing about that is you know you've got all these harmonizing colors. So no matter what you're using it for, you know you're going to get this really beautiful harmony, and they mix together really well. Okay, so this is actually drying right now, pretty fast. Now, actually, you know what I might do while you guys are here, let me play with this a little bit, and let's see what we get here. Let's get you nice and close, and I've cleaned my brush out. Now that I'm going to go from paint to paint, it doesn't matter. That's the most incredible thing about this subject matter and about what we're trying to do here is we're literally just playing with color and paint. Wow, that's working really well. Very happy with that. So if you can see what I'm doing, I'm actually taking most of the paint off. And I'm allowing it to kind of the brush to do its thing, and it's just picking up the subtleties of it. So I'm not getting a heaviness to it, but I'm getting like a dirt layer, and I'm really loving that. And that is really good. I'm happy with that. That's fun. So again, I'm going to come around here and just kind of drag it around, and so I've got it everywhere now, and really good. I don't know how much of that you're able to see. I'm hoping you can see quite a bit of it, but here, let me get some more light on the subject, so maybe with this flashlight we can. We might be blowing out the camera. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what that looks like. But hopefully you can see. I think you can see some of the striations in it. That's pretty good. So that's fun. And now I can even, I can keep going. I've got this yellow. This is sand yellow. Here it is. So I'm going to put some of this in my palette and play with that, and let's just see what happens with that. Let's get you back. Yeah, pretty good. Might be a little too heavy, but that's okay, because don't forget, I mean, one of the things that I find personally when I'm doing this is that something in real life looks one way or looks another way, but when you work in the theater or you work in film, you realize the film camera can be very soft, and it doesn't necessarily pick up all of that stuff, so we have to accentuate things. And I think with modeling, that's one of the things I've learned, is to accentuate some of the drama of what you're trying to do with things, whether it's weathering something or you're getting that texture. Paint is your friend, and it's not just one coat or one layer. It should be multi-coats and multi-layers and different striations, and that's how the eye sees it when it all dries. Now, they could be subtle depending on the light that the model is sitting in, but my gosh, it really makes a difference. and it will really, really up your game. So that's what I'm doing. Now I have to tell you, I'm pretty stoked about this Banquette. I think this is coming together really well. And we've put like 20 minutes into this. And I'm really happy with it. So the next thing I want to do, and we might as well do it while we're here, is play with the bottom of it and see what that looks like. Now, what I've got here is I've got a really fun color that I just love. It's called Mahogany. It's 71036. And so with my Mahogany, I'm going to drop that in, get quite a bit of that. It's a nice dark color. And what we'll do is we'll start to play with the bottom of the Banquette. Now this is just paneling really, but I always start with my darks first, and then I go lighter, lighter, lighter. You can't go light to dark if you want, but I think this is just a better way to go. Now already I'm getting really excited because one of the realities with this boat and the production stills is everything is a mess. It's a complete mess. Nothing looks the same. Everything is aged and chipped and weathered, and the production team sometimes went super crazy and really did a number on certain things, which I think is, which I think was hilarious. They they really had fun with it, aging it and trying to figure out what things looked like. They were just going to town on it, and I love that. I think in the previous life I was most definitely a production designer or a wannabe production designer, because over my career in the business, mostly television, whenever I had an opportunity to make a television series, especially scripted early on in my career, hanging out with the production designers was one of the greatest privileges. Obviously, when I did Sequest and Earth 2 and a whole bunch of other stuff for Stephen, Richard Lewis was my production designer, and he's a talented guy, and he's done so much stuff. And he and I would collaborate all the time on things. But when we went into production, especially when we went into production, that's when the fun began, because all of the designs and you use architectural designs and stuff. You really start to get a handle on what it is that you're building. And I used to, boy, did I love that. And I loved watching the guys age things. And now, when I went on to do Doctor Who many years later, I worked with Richard Houdolan, another talented production designer up in Vancouver, British Columbia. And his team were just fantastic. And in fact, there was a young gentleman, I think he was like 23 years old, who built my large-scale TARDIS, my police box, which I lovingly still have. I've shown it off, I think, in my Instagram account. One of these days I might do when I'm up in Oregon, I might do a show about my TARDIS and put it on YouTube for you so that you can see the whole thing. But it was lovingly built by a craftsperson in his 20s, and he built it all by hand. Every single loving piece of it was done from scratch, if you can believe that. So check this out. You can see that we're really it's really starting to come together. And it doesn't take much, because when you're doing something that is supposed to be old and aged, you can really play with it. However, having said that, one of the things you do have to be careful of is in real life, there's certain ways things are painted. if you're painting wood or you're painting a door, you follow the grain of the wood and you follow the paneling lines. You don't go all over the map. You have to follow it, and that keeps it level, and your eye, it's sort of the brush strokes disappear. But those brush strokes are kind of fun, and they do make a difference. Now in theater, when you're sitting in a theater, live theater, and you're way back, your eye doesn't see all of that, so you want to accentuate it. So I do an awful lot of accentuating, and that's what I'm doing here. So I've got this sort of base coat on, and I'm really happy with that. That's looking pretty good, and that's the mahogany. So what I've got to do now is figure out what else will work with it. Now I have put a couple of things on my bench here that I'm working with. I'm working with, as you know, the camel brown. So I'm going to put a little more of that in my palette here. Couldn't think of the word palette. I couldn't think of the word palette. I mean, that's part of trying to do two things at once. Although I'm pretty damn good at multitasking in the shop. But anyway, so let me get you up close again, and here we go. We're going to start playing with color here. Now, one of the things that I want to do is try to create the illusion that there are panel lines here. So what we're doing is we're creating those panel lines, and that's what's happening here. And what that will allow us to do is really start to accentuate things. Now, one of the other things that I think is really pretty awesome, and I didn't realize it at first, and I really could have messed this up, is there are places here, and I'm going to point it out to you right here, where in usually, in regular kits, you'd go, uh-oh, that's an overlap from the pour. I better sand it out. Not on this model, because what you realize is what Bill has done for us is he's actually created that effect that is on all the production stills of the paint. Layers of paint. When there's layers of paint and it's a thick, especially when it's a gloss paint, and it chips, you get that indentation. And there's no way to fix it unless you sand everything down and start again. And so Quint never bothered to do that, and you get all of this rough work. And I don't know if you can see this. Maybe you can. I think you actually can. But it's starting to really pop. And it's so cool that you're starting to see some there. You start to see where the paint it's the illusion of paint being encrusted, as it were. So anyway, I'm really loving that, and I just love it. Sadly, no one will ever see it. But, we'll take some photos of it, and we'll have some reference photos of it, and that'll be good. So I'm now going to turn this around, and I'm going to hit this top panel. Now, don't forget, as I've said to you, again, this is just layering. And if I get anything over something else, I'm not worried about it, because I'll just go back and clean it up. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm just trying to get some paint down, and I'm not trying to be perfect yet. I will try to get perfect once I've got something that I think I like, because that's when you really start to sort of see things coming together. Now, when I look at the film stills of this, it looks like it's all mahogany, or it's supposed to be mahogany, or it's been painted to be mahogany, and then there's some teak in it as well. And you know, I've got plenty of options for that. So now that I've got sort of the base colors of it all in, and I can start to see it all, now what I'm going to do is come back with my mahogany now and start to clean this up. Now, I do it while it's all wet. The reason why I do it while it's all wet is because these are acrylics, and the great thing about acrylics is they will blend. And as they blend, you will start to get all kinds of other interesting reactions, and that is when magic happens, because you're just blending things away, and it just starts to really pop. And these paints are designed to be mixed on the brush. So, of course, my head has been in the way for 45 minutes of that shot. I really apologize. But now this is wet too. This is all going to start to dry. And as this dries, it will just add even more texture to it. So anyway, that gives you an idea of how I approach these things. I'm going to continue to work on the Banquette. And I'll give you sort of the da-da when I'm finished with it, and then we'll go on to something else. This is going to be a slightly longer episode than usual, but I think because we're seeing different things, and I'm not just showing you, look what I've done, look what I've done, look what I've done. Now I'll do a lot of look what I've done because I don't know, you know, I'm in the shop at all different hours of the day, and sometimes I just like to sit here and focus on something. But anyway, we will continue, and for you it's going to be a nanosecond. For me, probably another 45 minutes to an hour, and then we'll see what this looks like when it's all complete. Okay. Okay, I've moved right along, and again, the entire model was washed in a warm soapy bath, and then after I did that, I put some Adhesion Promoter from Duplo. It's a clear primer basically, and I've put that all over the boat, and the reason why you want to do that is because for those who don't know, you know, the Adhesion Promoter is going to help paint bite to it. And additionally, when you get these kits, one of the big issues is always making sure there's no release agent on them. So you want to just wash them with a little warm soapy water, and then hit it with some Adhesion Promoter, and you'll be fine. So that's what that's what I'm doing here, and as you can see now, I'm using my gray green, and I like the gray green because the interesting thing about this gray green is when you hit it with a very bright light, it starts to go whiter, and that is why I'm sort of choosing to stay with it. Again, I want my colors to be a little punchier at the moment. I can dull things down. I can do all kinds of things with it. But for just for basically getting some color on the panels, this is working really well. And again, you know, I am not using an airbrush. I am using a good old-fashioned paintbrush to get that good old-fashioned paintbrush look. This is just the first coat. There'll be several. But you got to get some paint down, otherwise nothing will bite anyway. Now on the reference picture that I am looking at, the frame of this window here is wood, and the frame of the door is wood. Everything else is green, except for the porthole here, which is sort of a strange greeny gray color. I don't know, it looks like they've tried to put some paint on it after the fact. Now there's this plate, metal plate behind the heater, the exhaust pipe, and I suspect the purpose of that is so that the wood paneling does not overheat from the heat of the pipe. Now, even though it appears in the production stills that I'm looking at that pipe it's all green behind there, but I'm going to paint it metal. I'll age it down, but just to give it a little contrast, I'm going to paint it metal. Really hard to see. Obviously, I'll take a look at as many production stills as I can, just to make sure that I'm 100% certain, because this is one of the first times in my hobbying life that Canon means a lot to me. It means an awful lot to me, because you want people to look at this model and go, oh my God, that's the Orca from Jaws. That was the reaction that I got when I first saw Bill Wieger's model at Wonderfest. That was the reaction. It was, oh my God, and I just literally could not stop looking at it. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. It was just too cool. And I'd never seen anything, you know, the subject matter obviously interested me an awful lot, but beyond the subject matter, it was just the appreciation for the art. You know, that is why I am a ridiculously huge fan of Lou Del Meso's work. I just admire the skill, and you know, now he humbly claims that that's because of repetition. I disagree with him. I think he just happens to be incredibly talented, and he also happens to really understand what it, the sort of color and how colors work together, especially with the eye. So you're wrong, Lou. You're just talented. But anyway, so again, that's color I'm putting on this. And take a look. I mean, you can see already, just from the naked eye, that starts to look pretty good. Interestingly enough, when I hit it with a flashlight, you see how white it goes? In the light, in the bright light, in the bright sunlight, that just goes whiter. And that's why I'm pretty convinced this is the correct color. Now, I do have some Vallejo's Insignia White that I may dust on with an airbrush, because that's when you can really start to bring things down. And I may definitely do that. But I wanted you to see me putting color on these panels. And that's just to start with, because it's just, this is where it all starts to come alive. It just really pops. So this is the exterior of this. I'll turn it to you here. That is the exterior, okay? And this is the interior, which is all going to be mahogany. Now, one thing I've got here is this porthole. Let me get this on the close camera for you. This porthole is going to be brass colored. It's quite detailed, but there doesn't appear to be any glass in it. So I'm assuming that it's going to be really hard for me to figure it out, but I'm going to try and get some glass in there. Now I can't do it from the back, obviously, because that frame is already on there, and there's no way on this God's green earth you're going to find a duplicate one of these. Now you could make a resin print of this, absolutely. Drill all this off, scrape all this off, put your glass in, and then put your piece over it. But for me, I don't need to do that. I'm good. Obviously, we're going to put glass on everything else. The other thing I wanted to show you here is this is the first aid kit, and this is a barometer. And so I will paint this first aid kit correctly, and I will paint this brass barometer correctly. And I have got, through the greatness of Jeff Fink, I've got decals for these. They are absolutely canon to the boat. So they will be going on. And I'll be creating those mahogany panels, obviously, for the back of this, the interior, and here is the exterior. So that's giving you a taste of what we're doing. Let me now show. Crazy me! Hang on. I'm working with Tamiya paints, and I was about to stick that in water and not in thinner, and that would have been bye-bye brush. So just, yeah, so let me just clean that up. Let me put this away for a second here, because I want to bring in the Banquette and show you this this thing of beauty. It's coming together quite well. And I have to say, looking at the production stills, I think I'm pretty damn close. Now, what I haven't done yet, so calm down, is I haven't finished. I put a little dab of mahogany on these pins that are holding the tufting pins, just to pop them. But they'll get some more color, so they'll go away. And then this is going to get a brown wash that will go in all of those cracks. Now I can't do that until it's varnished, but that is starting to look really, really, really good. Now I know it's really hard for me to show you these things on camera and go, isn't that amazing? Because sometimes, I don't know, the lights, the cameras, they tend to accentuate things or look at things too harshly. But from my eye, I'm really starting to dial this in, and I'm really, really, really happy with it. So I'm going to keep working it, but I'm pretty happy with it. I've got this is the one exterior panel. I've got to now I've got to get a coat of the oxide on the window panels, which I will do, and so that will allow me to sort of harmoniously create an inside that looks the same. I think I'm really going to do well with that. And of course the floor as well is going to have to be painted as well. That'll be a darker brown, and then it'll get some sanding, and then some painting, and some sanding, and some staining, and we'll just keep going until we get something that looks good. Okay, so I'm going to plow ahead here. We're about 35-40 minutes into the show. I'll probably go an hour on this one. I apologize, but I think it's worth it. So let's crack on. Okay, it's been actually in real time. It's been a few days since I posted the first part of this update, when I was sort of really getting into the weeds on painting, and it struck me that it wasn't really it wasn't really a tutorial, so I apologize. What I was trying to do, and hopefully you guys get a kick out of this, is sort of just show you what I'm doing and my methodology. You know, there's not 15 dwarfs in the corner, or I should say elves. Forgive me for being politically incorrect. Elves in the corner who are doing all of this. It's me going away, sitting down and doing this, and then thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm not recording this process, or I should really be recording this just for posterity, even if my subscribers don't appreciate it or not interested. But anyway, I'm just sort of showing you how my tragic head works. But anyway, we're back, and I have, I think, to my satisfaction, completed the Banquette. No, let me do this for you. There we go. This is the Banquette. Now, a couple of things I want you to know about why it looks the way it looks. First of all, it's going to be viewed through relatively acrylic windows, and it's going to be, the windows are going to be a little dirty. Now, I'm not making excuses. I'm trying to explain to you how my head works, which is, I finished this in a mat after I'd done all my washes and everything else, and realized that it was going to get lost. Now, I do have a light that I'm actually putting over the Banquette table, which should pick up some of this, but I'm hoping that by giving it a little bit of a sheen, which, by the way, in some shots in the film it actually has, because I think it's a leatherette kind of product that's on those bank seats. I mean, Quint wouldn't have been able to, well, he wouldn't have spent the money on leather, and they wouldn't have been leather. They would have been that sort of leatherette based on the what we know about this boat. And the other thing we know about this boat is the production team had an absolute blast aging it. I mean, they did everything. They chipped stuff, smashed stuff, stained stuff. They went crazy on it. And the reason why I can tell you that is because my friend Wayne and I'm sure, have seen Jaws more times than we care to remember now. I mean, I think we may be in some Guinness Book of World Records for how many times we sat through this film and freezed every frame and watched it and gone backwards and forwards. And anyway, I only continue to say that because I am trying to be canon. I'm trying to have a lot of fun with it, but I'm also trying to be visually acuitive with it. In other words, it's a model, and so when it is viewed in real life, I want the spectator to really marvel at it and look at it, as I did with Bill Wieger's version that I discovered at Wonderfest last year, because you're just lost in like a kid in a candy store. Every detail you want to look at, because you go, oh my God, there, there's the bait buckets, and oh my God, there are the markers that Quinn asks Brody to put another marker in the water, these strange sticks with bits of foam on them and yellow flags. And oh my God, in the corner, look, behind the ladder, there are the oxygen tanks and parts of the shark tank. And on the other side is a barrel that has equipment on top of it. I mean, everywhere you look, there's details. Now, not all of those details came with the kit, obviously. Some of it has to be scratch built. And that's some of the fun of it. But what I did realize was there are some techniques that I can use to actually really have some fun with the interior of this. Now, I've chosen not to use any wood on this boat, except I will say that most likely I will put some under the barrels in front here. Sorry about that, here. The boat's on the bench here, so I'm gonna just sort of move it over to there and say to you that the barrels are here and there is wood under these barrels, and I think I may add that wood just for the fun of it. And while we're here on the subject, I have roughly sort of plugged in the colors of the boat. The hull right now has a Humbrol flat black on it, 2 coats. The red on the sides is a dull red from Tamiya. It is fantastic. The inside is a Mr. Surfacer 1000 zinc oxide primer. And that's what I did. I covered the whole thing in the zinc oxide wherever I had wood, because it's a great base for wood. And so that's what I've done. Now, let me take you through some of the thought process here of why we've done what we've done. And that is this is acrylic paints that I am putting on resin. Now, everything had Adhesion Promoter put on it and washed and la 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 la. But what we're doing is laying down paint. You got to lay down some paint. You don't just put some paint down and go, okay, that's the right color. No, you need foundational elements for all kinds of reasons. One, because we're going to be doing some effects with this, and one of them is this thing is chipping and peeling all over the place. It also has weather damage, wind damage. It has damage from salt water where perhaps Quint hasn't maintained the boat. So wood is chewed and was not repaired or replaced. Some of the mahogany panels clearly have lost their they've got all this patina, but they've lost that sort of varnish that protects it, and so you start to see where it's rubbed down, or perhaps one of the windows where and I'll show you a great example of that. Is actually, it's in one of the panels. It's in this panel. I don't know why I was looking over there, but this panel here, which I've been working on. Now, excuse the metal. I was just trying to sort of put down some silver paint before I actually finish that. So let me triple stress to you here. Nothing is finished. It could take me several weeks to actually get these panels finished. But the point I wanted to make was this in here in the movie appears to be perhaps it was glass at one time, I'm not sure, but it looks like it's had some 3/4 inch ply put in there, because it's not, it's definitely not mahogany. It's definitely some kind of plywood, and you can see it in several of the frames. And so that had to be dealt with. Now, curiously enough, I chose not to cut off my first aid kit, which was pre-molded onto this piece. And when you look at the actual movie, you realize that this first aid kit actually has round corners. It does not have square corners. But I assume in actually trying to create a mold for this and pour some things, certain elements perhaps they just felt weren't, they were just too hard. So they gave it a square corner. But curiously enough, and I'll go back here for a second, it should also have a handle to be Canon. So I'm going to put a handle on that. Now, thanks to the genius of Jeff Fink, I have now decals for the front of this. So it will be screen accurate for a screen accurate first aid kit, and I also have the faceplate for the barometer that is next to it. Now, a couple of things I want to point out, which I think are kind of fun, is on this panel. And this panel obviously is the front door to the cabin. Here's the interior, and there's the exterior. And again, coat of paint on it. The wood frames have not been painted or touched at all yet. I haven't got to it. And this is just a base coat. So this has to have chipping and peeling and staining and weathering and everything else. But what I wanted to point out on this panel, and I'll get you back on the extreme close-up here, is the kit came with two indents, one here and one here. Now, usually what that indicates is that there is a keyed in piece that we can actually put into those pieces. But when I look at the film frame grabs, the left side of the door, when you're inside the cabin, there appears to be a lantern of some kind. But it's not attached to the wall. It's hanging. And on the opposite side of the frame, closest to the large window, there's another piece that appears to be for a fire extinguisher that appears in some frames and disappears in others. And no, from a continuity point of view, when the fire breaks out in the cabin and Quint says to Brody, "Chief, could you put out the fire?" Very, very calmly. I've looked at the film previous to that, and that extinguisher appears and disappears as well. So I don't know whether continuity and props forgot to put it back on the wall. I don't know whether it was taken off for some reason, fell off, I don't know. But anyway, that indent is for that extinguisher. So I will be putting a fire extinguisher back on the wall. Sadly, you're going to have to look real hard to see it, but that's going to be true of a lot of things inside the cabin, except for the fact that we have a lamp. We have a lamp, and I've built the lamp. It's hidden under some paint right now. Anyway, I put a 5mm bulb in it, warm white, which is sort of got a slightly yellow tinge to it, but and it's going to be hung approximately 30 to 40 mil off the banquette table, so I can get as much illumination as I can. So when you look in, you'll be able to see quite a bit. But I want some things in shadows as well, because even though this is going to be, you know, a lot of detail, I want it to be a little mysterious, and I want you to be able to sort of look around. So, I've found some incredible stuff. Let me show you what I mean by incredible stuff. And I'm moving this. Just after I said I wouldn't move it, I'm moving it. So there you go. You know, that's what happens when you go live to tape. I have found somewhere. Hang on. Here it is. It's all in here. How was that? For 20 minutes of me. Never mind. But what I've got in here is, I've got my dials, but I think I have I think I have them in here. Where did I put all of my, didn't put them in there. But anyway, while I'm here, I'll show you these. I found these, all kinds of different dials and things. Look at this. There's from this little company. Now these are all French, from a company in Paris, I think. But I picked them up from a stateside hobby company called Marine Models. There's actually quite a few of them, and I've got these in various different shapes and sizes, along with my decal sets. So I'm pretty comfortable that I've got everything dialed in there. Let me show you the light, because I've got that here, and then I'm going to find, because I don't know where they are at the moment, and that's not good, but I had all of my, here they are. You just gotta, this is a reason why you need to be organized. If you're not organized, you never find anything. And I'm prone to trying to organize things, but during my work sessions, things get moved around. I do try to clean it up at the end of the day, but sometimes I forget. And today, when I decided to actually film, of course, I forgot to do that. Here, I'm just getting rid of that frame. It's annoying me. I'm sorry. But anyway, let me show you my light. Here it is. And we're going to sit it over the banquette. Here's the banquette table. I've got everything in front of me, so I can actually put this in the boat. I can put the banquette in. And let me just move some of this off to the side. Like such. I can bring the boat in towards me. And let's see if I can, there we go. So there it is, sort of sitting in situ. Obviously, this door goes in and sits behind it like such. And you really start to see this thing come alive. It's really quite exciting. And then I have got my light, which will dangle, let's see here, it will dangle whoop, there. It'll dangle like that, and not only would it dangle like that, you can see we'll sort of, we'll hold it about there, and we should get quite a bit of illumination out of it. Now, I do not have this resisted yet. I have tested it with a 3-volt battery and it does work. and it gives quite a bit of glow. It hits that Banquette. So the higher this is, obviously, the more illumination I'm going to get. Now, I've got this currently on red and black wire, very thin gauge wire, and I've put enough of it here. I've got enough of it to run this. So in the film, and I've got the pieces here. So we're going to run through all of this so you can see where I am. Here's the roof. Whoa! Let me get that. Let me take that out. Here's the roof, and again, it's in the dull red. Nothing has been weathered. Nothing has been touched. This is all just a rough. Get some paint down. But anyway, in the bottom, now I have started here. I've put a bit of a black singe. This is two kinds of white. This is a Model Air Ivory from Vallejo and a Model Air White. And I've deliberately shot the center of it with a little bit of black for the sooting that will come up from the kitchen, which will be on this side. Sadly, you'll never see any of it, but the reason why I tell you all of this is because when we add the windows, and here are the windows. Hang on. I just realized this one's been painted incorrectly. It goes there. That's okay. That's going to go there. See, I put I painted the, actually I have it in, I put a coat of paint on the wrong side of this window, but that's all good. That's no harm, no foul. But the point is that will go there. The window that has the walkie-talkie built into it goes here. This sits up like this on here, like this, like that. And if I can, keep it all together, it'll be a bloody miracle. But there we go. And then this sits up like this against this window here. Yeah, I'm gonna fight with this, I think. It's a shame, because what I was trying to do, now I could take this down, but I don't really want to. But anyway, that sits here. This sits here like this, and there are keys on everything. What I mean by that is everything is keyed so that it has a place for it. Now, that all needs to be cleaned up, obviously, because when you start getting paint on surfaces, that's when everything starts to, fall apart. I think that is correct. So, all right. Now, what I'm going to gingerly do now is drop this on top. Miracles will never cease. Now, you can start to see how this is all coming together, and I've got all kinds of paint effects that I have to do on all parts of the ship, but you can see it's really starting to come together. But the other thing I wanted to say to you is that when you look inside, you actually do get to see an enormous amount of what the detail, and I really appreciate Bill Wieger doing that. But curiously, I think that the production deliberately did that so when Stephen was directing, he could run his camera around and you could look through and see, and there was plenty of visual opportunities to go through the glass and see things. And I think that's exactly why this boat was built this way, very cleverly. And so this was really done for a film and not for seaworthiness, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, so that's pretty exciting. And then here's the top, and the top of this, and this creates, ladies and gentlemen, the Flybridge. Now I'm going to be very careful here. There it is. That's the Flybridge. and that's from that angle, and there it is. That is the Flybridge. And then I want to show you the mast, because I have basically finished the mast except for rigging and some washes. Now I'll show you that in just a second. I've got tie lines that I have to put in here for the rigging to come down to. I've got all kinds of paint work I have to do. Let me tell you, the curious thing about this model is that, interestingly enough, while I think the mast has taken me quite a bit of time, the bulk of the detail was in the mast, and of course accurizing and putting some detail in the cabin, but the rest of it is just a painting feast. So, you know, if you like to age things and you like to do those things you have. Now, I know that Wayne and I have talked about chipping sprays and all kinds of things like that. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to actually use the coagulative nature. It's pretty good, right? That's multisyllabic. You didn't think I could do that one, did you? No laughing at the back of the room, please. But the nature of this paint is that if I start to let it dry, it will gum up, and that gumming gives you that lovely layered effect. And then on top of it, I have got the AK Interactive acrylic pencils, and I've showed you them on the channel. I did a piece on them, I think in one of my Take 5s, but I've demonstrated them, or I've shown them to you. But I'm going to use those, I think, for the chipping and peeling. It's acrylic paint in the form of a pencil, and it's fantastic. And I'm going to do that along with my washes, I think, just because I want this to be an experiment in how to do things a little different. Now, I'm hoping Wayne is still going down the paint chipping lane. You know, I hope he is. A, because it's great and it's very effective and it works terrifically. But B, because we can get contrast between how these different models are built, and I think that's part of the fun of all this as well. Anyway, just to talk a little bit about the Flybridge, because obviously the control surface has to be black. The top of this ridge is going to be black. The green is correct. On the back panel and on the front of this, it is the green, and it's the gray green. And then the top surface will be black, and then I've got, thanks to Jeff Fink, I've got all of the dials now ready to go on there, and I just have to dry brush the bezels to get that effect. And I've got a couple of these wonderful little stick pins here. I'll show you what I've got here, which are kind of fun. Look at this. I've got this these little stick pins. And they will become the knobs. Okay, Phil. They will become the knobs. Now, a couple of other things too before I jump to the mast. I want to say is there will be no other lighting on this kit, none. And I made that decision because I did not use a brass rod for my mast. I used a wooden dowel, and I do not want wires running through, running down the side of the mast. It just looks ugly. And had I have done it in a brass rod, perhaps I could have run everything down there. But I didn't see the need to it. So anywhere where I need light lenses, what I've done is I have chewed out a little bit of the lamp, and I'll show you this on the mast in a second, and that'll be true of the lamp that sits right here on the top of the boat. It sits right there. Well, that angle is completely useless, isn't it? Sorry. But the point is that I'll chew out the front of that. I'll put a little bit of silver paint in it, and then what I will do is I will use my good old Solares. Here it is. Here's the Solares. And what you do is you put a little daub of that on the surface, and you hit it with this blue light, which I won't turn on and flash in your eyes. You're welcome. And it'll harden instantly, and then you've got a great lens, and it works really, really well. It's very effective. So I will be doing that. Now, there are other ways to do it too. You could use microcrystal clear, which is also a great product. For those of you who don't know what that is, of course you all know what microcrystal clear is. It's like, you know, I apologize. I don't mean to be, I'm not preaching to anybody. That's not the intention of this show. But the microcrystal clear works just as well. However, you gotta leave it overnight to set up. And sometimes, you know, depending on temperature, it doesn't always set up perfectly. But the Solares does. And you can even put LEDs in it, and it's fine. It doesn't affect them at all because you're never replacing them, but it does work. Okay, so that is where we are. In the next video update after this one, I will probably have started painting the exterior. I'll try to get the decking painted and down. And there are some interesting things I just want to talk to you about quickly here. So let me get you on the overhead for a second. So this is all black, and I probably, let me try, maybe you need a little more light. That's probably helpful. So you can see all of these various hatches. Now, what Bill Wieger did, which I thought was incredibly clever, is he used this tape, which I have here. This tape. Let me get it on close up for you. Here it is. It's copper tape. It's fantastic. So this, along with the, of course, I show you the. I showed you the my silver duct tape, my metal duct tape. I've showed you that. Between those two metal tapes, you can do all kinds of wonderful things. And one of the wonderful things that I intend to do is I'm going to line all of these with that tape, and I'm going to use a rivet wheel. It's a little pinwheel, you know, a pastry. It looks like, actually they're not pastry. What am I talking about? It's for sewing, you know, and we use them for making rivets, and I'll run that along it, and it'll create all those lovely indentations. And those will go all around the hatches, and then I will obviously get that down really well, and then I'll put some washes on that, and that should look really bloody effective. The only other challenge I want to talk to you about before we finish, because we've been at this now for what, almost an hour, but I'm having fun. I hope you are. Is I wanted to talk to you about this thing of beauty. So what this is I'm looking for, there you go, well, there it is, and it belongs here. Is that better when you see that there? Yeah, that's better. That belongs there. It's all starting to come to you now, isn't it? It's really kind of cool. And there's a bow support that's missing, and my rudder and my propeller are not on. But that will go there. And the next challenge I have, because I started to build the, here it is. I started to build this piece. Boy, if I could get my big fat fingers out of the way, perhaps you could see it. There. Swinging in. Let me try the here. Perhaps you can see this. You see, this is going to sit up here like this. Something like that. And I'm working on that right now. And that will become the, I guess you call this the forward lookout. Or sometimes they used to call these the dead man's walk. I don't know what they call them now. But anyway, I will use my JB World. I'll tack it together with CA glue, and then I'll use my JB Weld for the joints, and then all that has to be finished with the rigging rope, which I have here. I've been using this one, and I think it's 0.5 mil. I've been using that. Yeah, it is. It's 0.5. See, because it says 0.5 on it. That's how an idiot like me knows that it's it's 0.5. And I will be wrapping that around all of the bars, obviously, and that will complete the front of it, but that will be done at a later time. This all has to be aged and weathered and put in place, and I have yet to do that. It doesn't have a coat of primer on it yet, but everything will be aged down the way I'm aging down this piece here, which I will show you again on the close-up. You can see I'm aging this down with brushes. And then what I wanted to just show you while I'm here, and I apologize if I'm all over the map, I'm really not intending to be, but it's just the way my sort of, you know, I'm so overwhelmed by this whole thing. It's pretty awesome. I've got a secret weapon, and it is, my secret weapon is, hang on, while I completely step out of frame, it's this. Look at this. Is that out of focus? Looks like it's having a difficult time focusing. I think it is. Maybe not. X26. Clear orange. How's that? Is that better? Don't know. How strange. Doesn't seem. Aha! Aha ha ha ha. There you go. Clear orange, X26. Got its close-up at a 20-minute promotion. Go figure. What you do with that is you paint it on this surface, right? And it creates that awesome sheen that I got with my, where is it? I don't know what I did with it. Okay, be like that. What did I do with it? Do you know, I left it inside the boat. Do you know how frightening this is? If you're not concerned about me now, you should be, because wow, okay? Wow, that's all I can say. Anyway, let me take this down before it falls down. And go back to the inside of the boat here, to the Banquette, which had completely disappeared on me. But I want to show you this in close-up because I think it's really worth it. You get this sheen. Get this sheen. And I don't know if the camera does it justice at all. The camera is certainly seeing this imperfection in the resin. You don't see that in real life. You only see it in the camera. Isn't that awesome? And that's why you know, if you're building these things for a filming miniature, you're on a different pay grade than me. Because that wouldn't they'd reject this part, and they'd probably build it out of wood like Mrs. Walter Wayne did for Wayne. Oh, I know that's all her work. I hope Wayne's not taking credit for that because it's all her work. I'm teasing. But anyway, the point is that the orange clear is just an absolute marvel, and it does all kinds of fun things. I'm using it even on this piece here, which I'll show you, which is going to end up being the this is the box that sits. Let me take it off of here for a second and show you where it sits. It sits right here. Sits right there like this. Actually turned around. Dopey. That's interesting. It's not sitting in there. There it is. It sits in there now. It goes there. Remember that? So I've been working on that. Now it looks all shiny and glossy right now. Because I have put a coat of the Tamir on it, which gives it that aging, it looks old. What it'll do now is it's going to get a light coat of green, which I will spray on with my airbrush, and then it'll get a matte on this, and then I'll put the rope around it to finish it, and it's going to look fantastic. In the actual frame grabs from the film, this is actually just a sort of a dark green muslin. I'm not sure why they've wrapped it, but clearly it doesn't look like anything Quint would have done. It looks like something a production person did, so I'm not sure what it was hiding. Now, having said that, I do have this tape, and I have wider versions of it. This tape here, which is just athletic tape. It's paper tape that you would wrap a wound with. And that can certainly go over things as well. I have used it on this piece, which is the smokestack that sits here. Sits like that on the boat, outside the boat here. Let me show you this in close-up. I can't get the whole thing in frame, but I have finished this off, and I have added a real piece of pipe here, and I've actually got this open. It should actually probably be closed, and it's only pushed open when smoke is pushed out of it. But maybe we'll put a little smoke in there, I don't know. But anyway, this piece is completed, and I'm pretty happy with that. It might get a little more wash to it, I'm not sure. But the point in telling you all of this is that I wanted to show you all the progress that I've made. It is a boatload. Good, right? All right. So, there you have it. But before I leave you, I promised I'd show you the mast. I'm going to show you the mast. So, here it is. And you're not going to, I can't do this any justice, I'm afraid. I will turn it to camera so you can see it. I'm going to try and look, check this out. This is actually an angle from the movie, which is kind of cool. Look at that. Now it's completely out of focus, so you can't see a bloody thing. How genius is that? And that doesn't work either. So let me try with see if I can get it into camera here without damaging anything and turning it. There you go. There. It's all there, including, look at that. Isn't that great? There it is. The wind vane at the top. I have no idea how we're going to present these on camera. We're probably going to have to do a special production outside, and I'll have my wife, who's an amazing photographer, Mrs. Spruverse, shoot it for me. It's all rigged except for the cables themselves, which are going to need some real detailing and some super rigging, and I'll show you all of those details as we go along. So there's an update. Oh, because I put it out and I never showed you. Look, I've got all of these newspapers, which I will cut accordingly. And look at this. I've got all kinds of different maps and nautical maps and things. I think that actually goes on the back, and then all rolled up. And these things were all rolled up, and they were shoved behind the wheel. So we will do that. I'm pretty excited. I've got all of that stuff. I just need to age it, and the way I do that is I get a nice cup of PG Tips tea, and I use tea bag. I use a tea bag to get some aging on that stuff. But anyway, there it is, guys. That is the update. This is part 3, and I'm just sort of overwhelmed by everything, but I'm excited too. And just to recap, this is all rough. Now I've got so much painting to do, detailing to do, washes galore, aging to do, chipping and la 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 la. So it's going to go on and on and on. But my God, are we getting there? And I'm getting pretty excited that it's starting to feel like something, you know. But now all of the detail work is going to come together, and I have to take a block at a time and just slowly build the layers and do some sanding and changing, and it's just, you know, it's going to be a lot of work, but so much fun. So anyway, there you go, update number 3. Thanks for continuing on this journey with me, everybody. If you've just found me, please like and subscribe, and go back to the beginning so you could enjoy this whole process of Build the Orca from the motion picture Jaws, 1975. And this incredible creation was by Bill Wieger, BillWieger.com. Go check him out. He's incredibly talented. And of course, the great Wayne Green over at World of Wayne, my dear friend and an awesome human being. If you don't know Wayne and his channel, you need to go subscribe and like, because he is awesome. The content is amazing, and his live shows, especially his Thursday show, which is a great hangout. Everybody's welcome, and you can go hang out, and it's an hour of power. It's great fun, and it's good for the soul. I want to say one big shout out to somebody in the community who I really love and adore, even though I have never met him. I hope he is on the mend. His name is Wally Pasternak. I say build something at the end of every show as a salute to the great Wally Pasternak. His channel, which sadly he has not added content to in quite a long time, it was called Starfleet Model Academy. Just a dear man, just so talented and such a gentleman, such an awesome human being, and my heart goes out. Wally, I don't know if you're checking me out, but lots of love out to you. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't say a big thank you to all my subscribers who have come along on this journey with me. So to all of you, bless you all. Be well, be safe, build something, guys, and we'll see you on the next update. Take care, everybody.